Sorry, that's an Iron Man reference. Welcome to my channel. We are going to be reacting to episode 5 of season 1 of Marvel's What If. I'm very excited today because this is the episode I've been looking forward to the most, which is the MCU's adaptation of Marvel Comics storyline called Marvel Zombies, where basically zombies invade the Marvel Universe and everything goes to shit. Gone for 5 minutes and everything goes to shit. But yeah, so without further ado, let's just watch this. Oh, so this takes place during Infinity War. Interesting. Sanctum Sanctorum. Hey, it's the cape. I actually like that outfit. Oh, that's not good. Still can't get it up, huh? That's a great callback. No. Oh! Oh my god! Oh, shh. Whoa! Oh my gosh. Oh! He tore his hand off. Just like Infinity War. That's a great callback. Whoa. Ants! Ant-Man! Turn everyone to spooky scare. Oh my god. The Wasp. Spider-Man! That's a great callback. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. Oh shit. No! Scott! Ah! That's a good shot. Oh no! No, not Cap! Oh my gosh. Okay, that's an interesting origin. Oh, no way! Peter's still making his little videos. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the intro short from Sunset Overdrive, where Yuri Lowenthal's on the roof. It's a great game. Good old Happy. He's got the Civil War. Oh crap! It's Kurt from Ant-Man. Bucky. Silent murder killer. Heavy sleeper. Hey, that's an Indiana Jones reference. That's the Last Crusade. Sharon Carter first. Eulogies. Civil War. That's hilarious because Marvel knows what they're doing with Sebastian Stan in that scene. Let's be honest here. They know what they were doing. Everybody loves Sebastian Stan. All the fan women in Marvel right now are losing their. Whoa, that's dope. Chauffeur. Oh! Oh, that's a great fake out because I was like, wait, what the hell? How did they get big? Oh, God! Oh, poor Peter. Oh, Hawkeye. Oh, no. Yeah, Bucky and his saw. Light him up, Barnes. Oh, that's a classic. That was a Civil War move. Oh my god! That's like a Deadpool move where he grabs the gun with his hand and shoots the guy in the face. That's hilarious. It's messed up, but hilarious. Because, he hates Sam. Falcon and the Winter Soldier never happened, so now he hates Sam. I like the Zombie Hunter. Zombie Hunter Spider-Man. That's great, man. I really like Hope in this. She's really good. I like the friendship that her and Peter have. It's really good. Oh, zombie fight! Oh, this is awesome. Just grabs her by her face. Whoop. She went inside her mouth. Whoa! Oh! End of the line. Dude, the amount of references in this are insane. Oh! Did they just do the Thanos ass meme? Did they just confirm it? That's a clear nod to it. Oh no! Oh no. That's a reference. Uncle Ben! Wow. That is a great moment. That is some of the best writing the MCU has ever had. That is fantastic. I love how Bucky's just so I don't care. I've already had a miserable life being a brainwashed assassin. Who gives a crap? I'm basically a zombie anyways. Oh my gosh, dude. This is absolutely brutal. Ugh. This is brutal, but that's some darn good writing. That's some amazing writing. Ant-Man? It's like Richard Nixon from Futurama. Dude, Paul Rudd is just enjoying every second he's having right now. Oh, shucks. Oh my god. Ah! God, his leg. That's a reference to the original comic. I think when Hank Pym cut off his leg or something like that. That's a reference to the. Oh no. This is just bad. Oh my gosh. It's like The Walking Dead with the governor. Dude. Oh, that's. No, Kurt, run! Oh, you poor. Oh, that is terrifying. It's a Hall & Oates reference. Oh my gosh. Oh no. He pulled the stone out. Oh, that's the same shot from Infinity War. That's bad. It's like the Flash. Oh no. Whoa, she just yeeted him into the next century. That's a Rocket Raccoon Guardians 2 reference. Avenge us. Avenge me! That's a Millennium Falcon sound effect. That's the same sound effect they used in Indiana Jones. Anybody watch horror movies? Oh no. Oh, they ate her. That's a Civil War reference. When Scott grabbed War Machine. She threw a zombie. Imagine if all of this was just a fever dream that Peter had. Oh, fuck! Oh my god! Holy shit. That was incredible. Oh my god. There is so much to unpack here. Oh my god. That's my favorite episode of What If. I think this is some of my favorite MCU content, period. You know what? I honestly, I will stand by this till the day I die. This is the most terrifying, horrifying thing the MCU has ever done. Just 100%. No questions asked. This was terrifying. Just like, oh my gosh. This was terrifying. That was absolutely terrifying. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, references. We'll just go off references, then build up, I loved the references to Indiana Jones, like like all I have to do is squeeze when Bucky had a hold of Kurt. That was a reference to the Last Crusade when Indy grabbed Elsa, not the Disney princess. It's like all I have to do is squeeze. All I have to do is scream. You know. I also love the callback to another Indiana Jones callback when they were firing up the Quinjet and it did the Millennium Falcon noise. That was a reference to Temple of Doom when they were flying and whatnot, and Indy couldn't fly the plane, and they I guess ran out of gas or whatever. That was great. I love the use of the Ant-Man and the Wasp music. That was great. I really liked Peter's suit in this as well because it's interesting because it looks kind of different. It looks like a completely different suit. A bit similar. It looks like it's kind of similar to. I'm gonna look this up because I know I have a gut feeling. I know I have seen this from somewhere. That his suit looks very reminiscent of the Civil War Homecoming suit. Voice crack. Um, it looks very reminiscent to. Yep, that's exactly the suit. I knew I saw that from somewhere. I absolutely knew it. So his suit is a reference to the uh basically a couple years back. That's so cool because it's obviously reminiscent of his homecoming suit, but his suit is literally, I'm looking at the picture right now. His suit is a reference to the redesigned Spider-Man suit from the. They did like a bunch of concept art for like Disney parks. They were having like, I think, like a whole Avengers Marvel theme park, which they made, and some of the concept art was a new suit. And I'm looking at it right now. It's the Disney Parks concept suit, where basically it's very reminiscent of the Civil War suit, but slightly different. Uh, it has a new spider logo where the legs are a lot longer and taller, and they're a lot wider and bigger. Also, it has the same logo on the back with the bigger, arms and legs and whatnot on the back too. It's red. It's not like the sort of like classic, like spider emblem they had in on the Civil War suit and whatnot. Uh, and also the web shooters, instead of being black, they're silver. So that's really interesting because that is literally exactly the suit from this episode. Is the concept suit for the Marvel parks. That is really cool because it was just concept art. I don't think we were ever supposed to get any of that. You know what I mean? I don't think there was ever supposed to be. That was just concept art. I don't think they were ever going to use that for any movies or shows or anything. So that's interesting. I'm not going to lie, I dig that suit. I love that suit. I love the emblem, the bigger, longer emblem on the front and the back. I love the like silver web shooters. That's kind of a callback to like the 60s version, when Spider-Man debuted, where he originally had like these big, thick, silver web shooters. That's really cool. That's so cool. I never thought we'd ever see that suit. That's actually really awesome. That's cool. Um, yeah, I love it. Just this entire episode was just fantastic. Like I said, I love that they used the Ant-Man the Wasp music, a little bit of that theme. Uh, I love the kind of self-awareness in this episode. How I love the self-awareness of this episode. How they're basically like, when they were doing the whole. Also, I gotta talk about this. I love the like Peter's little like tapes. That's a callback to him in Homecoming when he would make those videos. Like Queens, it's a rough borough, but it's home. That's an exact line from that film. So I love that callback to that. But I also thought it was hilarious because that seems, I don't know if it was intentional, but that seems extremely reminiscent to like the like CGI short of Sunset Overdrive, where Yuri Lowenthal's character, who funnily enough played Spider-Man in the Marvel Spider-Man game, Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales. Fun fact for you there. Um, it's funny because I thought that was hilarious how he voiced that character, but he voiced the character in that Sunset Overdrive short, where it's basically this guy during the apocalypse, where there are a bunch of like mutant, like soda monster things that have overrun this city, and he's just on the roof, just sitting here chatting, just cracking jokes. So that was very reminiscent of that. But I also love the like self awareness that Marvel had, where it's like they acknowledge, like, yeah, all the chicks and guys dig Bucky, like they dig Sebastian Stan, and it's like literally a scene of him taking a shower. It's like, come on, we all know what Marvel was doing there. I thought that was hilarious. I also thought it was hilarious the whole eulogies on Sharon Carter, which is a reference to Civil War. I just thought the references in this were just absolutely great. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. The kind of discussion section about the episode. So this is interesting because I was really excited to see what they would do their take, because they basically said this is going to be the MCU's take on the Marvel Zombies storyline. Where basically in Marvel Zombies, basically what happened is some unknown hero from an unknown different parallel universe, a different dimension, crash landed on Earth that was infected by this virus called the Hunger. And it spread like crazy, and everybody got infected on Earth. By the way, spoiler alert for the comic, it's like over a decade old. It's like a decade and a half. Who gives a crap? But no, it was interesting because I was wondering what they would do, their take on it, and it was really interesting because what this seemed like is this is basically Marvel Zombies if it happened during Infinity War. That is really interesting. I thought the idea of this I kind of almost wish it was ambiguous and vague, like the origins of the, sickness, the virus in this. I thought that would have been interesting, but personally, that's just me. But I did like the idea that it was this virus that, you know, Janet Van Dyne picked up in the quantum realm. I thought that was really interesting because that's kind of, a sly reference to the original comic where it's like it came from like a different dimension, a different universe, a different realm of sorts, which is interesting because does that mean that Janet could have got infected by that in like Ant-Man the Wasp? Does that mean like Marvel Zombies could happen in the main MCU universe? Because if it happened there, I mean, it possibly could happen in the main MCU timeline. So maybe they could do some live action Marvel Zombies, which I would honestly be up for. I think that is one of the cooler comics they've ever done. But, you know, man, this was incredible. It was so emotional, too. It's such an emotional episode where it's just like all these beloved Avengers and characters have died and are just dying. You know, like it's so. I've said it like before. Like this is the most horrifying, terrifying, scary thing the MCU has ever done. This is so unbelievably dark and it's so gory too. Not like that's a bad thing. I like that. I like when the MCU gets dark and gritty and gory. I think the argument that like, oh, the MCU, it's too, it's all jokes and quips. And to be fair, there has been a lot of merit of that, over the years. But I think Phase Four has kind of it's a fly. I think Phase Four has taught that Marvel is kind of experimenting and getting darker. Like that kind of argument doesn't hold as much water as it used to, if it makes sense. Like WandaVision. Wanda takes over an entire town, brainwashes everybody, holds her husband hostage, almost destroys the world, and becomes at the end of the show, spoiler alert, an evil monster. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Isaiah Bradley fought for his country, was experimented on, then fought for his country, and was prepared to lay down his life for it. Then, after he saved the world, basically, beat the Winter Soldier in Korea, he got in prison for 30 years. Bucky Barnes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier has severe PTSD. You know, this is spoilers for all of these shows. And John Walker decapitated a guy with that shield on live television in front of the entire world. Loki. Nobody has free will. The TVA is just purging everybody, throwing him into all these wasted timelines. Kang is like taking control over everything. He killed a bunch of his alternate versions. Sylvie killed him, screwed up the whole universe. Yes, I read some spoilers, some slight spoilers. I still have not watched that episode, but that's like the only spoiler I watched for that show. Don't worry, I'll get back to those shows at some point. And whatnot, and she killed him and screwed up the timeline. Now all these evil versions of Kang, these truly horrific ones, screwing up the whole universe. Like, this is dark as it gets, man. It's like, so I don't think that argument is really too valid anymore, but it was just emotional. And the thing I loved so much about this episode was the I think this genuinely was one of the best scenes in this show so far, but also I think in the MCU in general, because that was the perfect encapsulation of Spider-Man. The scene where he's on the bus or the train talking to Hope, and she's like, "How do you keep smiling? How do you stay so hopeful?" And he's like, I'm used to it. I've lost so many people and suffered so much, but I've gotten used to it. I've adapted it, and my family and my friends." And he directly referenced Uncle Ben, which is insane because that is the first time he's ever referenced him verbally in the MCU, said his name out loud. It's only been referenced in very vague and subtle references, like their version on the great responsibility, great power, great responsibility speech in not in Homecoming, Civil War. Uh, the when he talks about everything that's happened with Aunt May lately in Homecoming, referencing his death. Then obviously the bag he carries, Ben Franklin Parker, in Far From Home when he goes to Europe. So it's only been referenced very subtly. And I think the reason why is because they've said that when they, I think they're going to bring Uncle Ben in at some time. I don't think they're just going to waste a character as valuable and important to this character as him. They've said like they want to bring Uncle Ben in. They don't want it to be like a throwaway line, like, "Oh, old Uncle Ben said this." Can't speak. You know, they want it to be like have meaning. So I think because they've said before, like they're planning like three Spider-Man trilogies. The current trilogy we have, the Home trilogy, the John Watts trilogy, which is the one where he's in high school. The second one will be when he's in college, and the third one will be when he's a young adult. And I think that it's entirely possible they probably will bring Uncle Ben in as kind of this sort of pivotal character. We'll actually see possibly flashbacks and see him. I think probably in the next trilogy. Like I think it would be interesting if they focused on like one key character to him. You know, this trilogy is about like Tony Stark and him becoming independent. The next one could be, about Uncle Ben and now that he's moving on in the world and growing up and whatnot. He needs to learn, and remember what he said. Then the next one could be about, maybe Aunt May and whatnot, where he's finally an adult now and she's like, you can go on in the world and achieve great things. I care about you. I feel like that would probably be a good thing, like a good way to, show these pivotal characters for him. Because one of the most controversial things about MCU Spider-Man is it seems like so far that, and like I said, I don't think it's like, we don't want Uncle Ben. He's not important. I think they're just saving him for a more important role in film in the future. Like I said, I don't think they're going to waste that character. So as of yet, I understand your gripes, but I think probably in the future that argument won't be as true as anymore. If you know what I mean, won't hold water, and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting, but it was controversial because instead of kind of Uncle Ben at the start, being that mentor character, they kind of used Tony Stark, because they said they were like, we're gonna do something new and fresh and different. We don't want to like repeat the same thing Raimi and Tasm did. The Amazing Spider-Man for short. Um, so yeah, I don't think they're gonna just waste that character. By the way, this is my homecoming shirt I'm wearing, but funnily enough, but yeah, that's the thing. I thought that was really interesting, you know. But a lot of people don't really like Spider-Man because he's not as comic accurate. I understand people's gripes with that, but I think they do just enough, right? Where it's like it captures the essence of Spider-Man and who he is as a character, but does something new and fresh and different. Because, like, I know for a fact if they went down the same route where Uncle Ben, I'm not saying that's not important. I'm just saying I feel if they went down a similar route, it just what people would just be complaining like, Raimi already did this better. why are you doing this? This is awful. Do something new and fresh. It's like you can't really please everyone, but I completely understand people's gripes. But somebody said something that I really agreed with is like, why would you want to try and attempt to be like the most accurate on-screen version of Spider-Man again when Raimi was the pinnacle of that years ago that they already did that? It's like you can try, but you're never going to get as good as live action when it comes to being a accurate live action version of Spider-Man, completely accurate to the comics. You're not going to be able to surpass Raimi. It's like the Dark Knight. It's like you can't really beat it, you know? It's like it's just something you can't really top. You can get near there and do something great, but you probably can't ever actually top it. So I thought that person's argument was really valid, I think. But, I just love what they did with Spider-Man. It felt true to Spider-Man. Like in like under a minute, they just nailed the character. Like I understand people's gripes with this version of Spider-Man. Um, you know, I don't think it's as good as Sam Raimi Spider-Man or Spider-Man PS4, but it's pretty damn solid. It's pretty darn good. It gets pretty near there. Far From Home, I think, was about as close as they've ever gotten to getting to Spider-Man 2 level quality. You know, so I really like that because they just nailed the character. You know, so I really like that. But on to the ending. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, I want to talk about Vision. That was messed up. Like the idea that Vision was like just feeding Wanda. He was just luring people to their deaths so he could just kill them and feed them to. That's messed up. That's literally straight out of The Walking Dead. Which another fun fact: one of the people that worked on the Marvel Zombies comic was Robert Kirkman, um, who did The Walking Dead, you know. So, and he also, wrote Marvel Zombies. So that's another fun fact for you. But I thought that was really fascinating and interesting, and just overall really good. I really, really, really liked that. I honestly did. I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, I really liked that. I did 100%. So I thought that was quite good, honestly. But yeah, it was just horrifying because Vision's such a good guy and he cares, but finding out that he did all that, it's like yikes. And it's kind of interesting because it's basically um, a reversal of WandaVision, you know, where Wanda couldn't let go of Vision after he died. Now it's the reverse. Vision can't let it go of Wanda after she's sort of died and turned. And I like how you know he eventually realizes I did the wrong thing and decides to help the Avengers. One thing I thought was interesting was how he could self terminate, how he ripped the stone out of his head. It's like, wait, could he have done that in Infinity War? I that's a really weird. I don't know how they're going to explain that. Because wasn't there some really elaborate process when it came to getting that stone out of his head? So how could he do that? I I don't know. That's interesting. That's weird. It's like, wait, could he have done that? So I don't know how they're going to explain that, but let's go to who could be the remaining survivors in the ending of this. Remaining survivors wise, I think probably Hulk and Bucky are dead or they would be dead soon. I think when it comes to Bucky, he's done. Like he'll be done at some point because I kind of think he actually probably survived that because we know that super soldiers can fall from ridiculous heights and be totally fine. people like Black Panther, even though he's not a super soldier, he's very similar to it. Black Panther can. Bucky, he's done it a billion times. Captain America, the Flag Smashers, like these super soldiers have done that multiple times. They've fallen from incredible heights, and Bucky fell off a train into a mountain valley and lived. And that was before he got his arm and really got that super soldier serum. So I think the idea that he couldn't survive that is not really, that's a bit much, because she threw him pretty far away, but not too far. He jumped out of a plane in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What do you want? It's really fascinating. It's so fascinating. It's just interesting. It's really interesting. So I think he probably survived his fall, but I think he probably eventually died, because he could probably survive for a bit, but I feel like he probably would have died. He probably would have just been swarmed. I feel, you know, I really think that. I feel it totally could be he could be the last man on Earth. You know, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, is the last human being alive on Earth. That would be an interesting spin-off, kind of. But I think he probably survived, but I think eventually he either succumbed to just being swarmed by zombies or Thanos, which we'll get into in a second. I think Bruce Banner also was similar, that he probably fought Wanda for a while and the zombies and did fine, but I think eventually he probably just got swarmed and beaten out and got turned into Bruce Banner and died. I mean, Wanda is one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, so while I think he could put up a good fight, I think eventually he would have lost. So I think all those Avengers gone. Now let's get into the cliffhanger, shocking ending that Thanos is now a zombie and has got the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's in Wakanda, probably. Because if you look in the background, some of the buildings are very reminiscent to the architectural structure and design of the buildings from Wakanda. If you look really close, I feel like you can almost point out some major buildings. I don't know what the names would be, but if you showed me a map, side by side, I could point them out. Duh. But you get the point. So he's in Wakanda, and plus the Watcher said it's the end of the universe. And I'll get into the potential of this, because for sure we don't technically know what happened in the end, because there are a lot of questions. Because we don't know if, when we see Thanos in that last shot, we don't know if he already killed all of the Avengers or just killed all life on Earth. We don't know. We have no idea if he did that. We don't know if he killed everyone. We don't know when it takes place, and that's kind of the interesting thing, because one of the things I kind of heard that talked about is people talk about is what happened to Groot and Thor, which is interesting because this whole episode takes place during Infinity War. So Infinity War is taking place in the background in some way, shape, or form. So some of the questions I have are, first of all, did Bucky and Hulk die? Did what happened to Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight? I would assume they probably would have been killed, because in Infinity War, obviously, they went after Vision and Wanda. Wanda got infected, so maybe they killed them or infected them. That's possible. Second, yeah, what happened to Thor and Rocket and Groot? Because they came in at Wakanda and whatnot in Infinity War. So did the whole Wakanda thing, when Thor came in and his entrance, did that happen before the scene we see Thanos in, or did it happen after? I think it might be after or before, because you see him have the 5 Infinity Stones, and it's interesting because Charles! Be quiet! I'm doing stuff. Get down and take a nap, buddy. Please. Sorry about that. That's my dog. I feel like a dad right now. Just like, okay, be quiet, okay? I'm working. You can bark or do whatever later, okay? Like a dad when I have a dog. But back to it is I think it probably takes place um after, because in Infinity War, in the end scene, when Thanos showed up in Wakanda, he had the 5 stones, and that took place after Thor had came to Wakanda. So I think it's possible that Thanos just killed Thor and Groot and all them, then probably finished off Scott, Black Panther, and Peter. Horrifyingly. I don't want that to happen, but it's probably what happened. Because the Watcher specifically says, like, this is the end of the universe. That doesn't necessarily mean, like, that's the end of everyone. Like, everybody died. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but it does mean that, yeah, this universe is kind of, you know what, effed, basically. So I think that probably took place after, and he showed up. And he, was looking for the stone, and he probably eventually overwhelmed the remaining survivors and killed them all. Because you saw in the shot there were zombies everywhere, so he presumably somehow infected everyone. And the thing is that the big question is, how did he get infected? Because it's interesting, because Thanos has been shown to be unbelievably powerful. I don't think people have said he's like invulnerable. I don't think that's true, because if you remember in Infinity War, Iron Man, to be fair, he had to beat the crap out of him a lot, put in maximum effort. Um, he had to put in a lot of effort. All that for a drop of blood. All that for a drop of blood. Which is interesting. So I don't think he's invulnerable. Because he did get hurt. And whatnot. And we saw in Endgame, he also got scuffed up as well. So it's interesting. So I don't think he's invincible, but he's unbelievably strong. But it is interesting. Also, I thought another thing. I thought the whole Thanos ass Ant-Man Wasp meme was hilarious, because I loved how, like I said, how self-aware this was. That's a reference to, in the lead up to Endgame, one of the theories is like how it was kind of a meme. And funnily enough, Joe and Anthony Russo, the directors of those films, where they acknowledged that meme in a bunch of posts, where the idea that the fans had come up with is they're going to defeat Thanos by Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass, then turning all big and blowing him up from the inside out. Which, funnily enough, that's actually, I don't think it's from the Zombies comic, but from some comic where Ant-Man goes inside Thanos' eardrum or somebody's eardrum and goes big and blows them up from the inside. I don't know who or what, but I think that was from some comic. But back to the whole thing, is the interesting thing is, yeah, how did he get infected? Did that mean, like, Thor was already infected by the time he got there to Wakanda, and because he used Stormbreaker, he scuffed Thanos? Because when you see Thanos, he's really messed up. He's got scars. He's got like a giant gash into his arm. You can see his forearm. So it's interesting. So either he got, bit by like Ant-Man or Wasp or something, or some other being that could hurt him, or probably Thor. I feel like Thor could probably be, that. So that's interesting and whatnot. Because one of the things about that they carried over from the comics was, in the Marvel Zombies comics, they made it very clear that the zombies have some form of sentience. Like, they're conscious. Like, in one of the comics, Peter turns into a zombie, I think eats Aunt May and kills Mary Jane. Then he pulls a Spider-Man no more and feels so much guilt for what he did, as Peter Parker. And because he felt like Peter Parker was the guy that ate and killed Aunt May and Mary Jane, he literally ripped all of his skin off and threw it into a trash can, replicating the iconic shot from the Spider-Man No More comic, where Spider-Man gives up being Spider-Man. So that's really interesting, you know, that they have some kind of sentience. I like that because they made it feel less like Walking Dead and more like these guys are a threat. Because in the comics, they were like that. I like how they use their powers and all the tech and stuff. But one of the things that I loved so much about this episode is how Marvel very quickly and subtly perfectly explained how unstoppable these zombies were, this virus was. Because remember, like in the beginning, Ebony Maw and Cole Obsidian literally got murked in under 30 seconds. Because remember in Infinity War, it took them like a quarter of the film to kill Ebony Maw, like a quarter or a third of the film to kill Ebony Maw, and they didn't kill Cole Obsidian until the end of the film. Iron Man and Doctor Strange and whatnot and Peter, they all got their asses beat. And these zombies, Zombie, Iron Man, Wong, and Doctor Strange, they literally killed both of them and turned them into zombies in under 30 seconds. That is insane. That just shows how insanely dangerous these characters are, with their powers and their abilities. Like, the idea of, like, a person with shrinking tech that's a zombie was terrifying. Like, how Cap got bit by Hank Pym, and he was like, then he just grew up and was like, ah, and ate him. And it showed, like, how, these main Avengers, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Iron Man, Cap, and whatnot, and Black Panther, even though he lived, they all got beat in, like, again, under 30 seconds by these zombies. They got immediately overwhelmed. And I love how kind of the idea of the show was this was kind of all the Avengers' fault. Like, they all, in their own little ways, screwed themselves over. Like how, even though I understand Hope, wanting her mother back, and she would have no idea that some zombie virus would come out of there, which I like the idea of it coming from this different realm sort of place, similar to how it came from a different, universe, a different realm of sorts in the comics. But this is a really long summary, but I don't care because this is easily my favorite episode so far, and I want to talk about it. I can talk more about it on the podcast if you all want. But I thought that was so fascinating that they just genuinely got murked. They got defeated almost instantly, which shows you, remember, these are the Avengers. These are like the people that stopped Loki, Ultron, Hydra, Malekith, all these insane characters, and they just died almost immediately and whatnot. And it shows, in the end, it truly shows with that one, like, 10-second scene, they show how unstoppable the zombies are. Because it's like Thanos got infected. And if he gets infected, pack your bags, it's done. We're screwed. Because he is the most powerful being in the universe. Or at least one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful. So if he gets infected, we're all screwed. And that's I've said it, like I said before, this is the most horrifying, scary, terrifying, nihilistic, dark thing the MCU has ever done. This is the most horrifying thing the Marvel Studios has ever done. This is insane how terrifying this is. I mean, this is like, it's over, man. It's done. Like, oh my gosh. It's so terrifying. It's so messed up. It's so messed up. Gosh. Like, good grief, man. It's just, oh, it's so dark and gritty. And the idea that Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet and has most of the stones, and let's be honest here, probably got all of them. When you think of the consequences, the ideas of that is terrifying. Because it's like, imagine like Thanos on his own with the Infinity Gauntlet was bad enough, but imagine a zombie Thanos. Do you know how bad that would be? He could just snap his fingers and cure everyone. Well, let's be honest here. He ain't doing that. He's a zombie. He's like, yeah, I'm not exactly here to save people. You're all screwed. Let's be honest here. He probably either got all the stones, snapped everybody in the universe into zombies, or this is something as soon as I saw that, I've kind of thought it's a really fucked up theory. It's so fucked up. But my theory is that one of the possible things that Thanos did is instead of snapping everybody into zombies, what he did was he snapped everybody back to life, back to not being zombies, and ate them. Let all the zombies in him eat them, then snap his fingers again and bring him back to life and eat him again. Because in the comic, they explained, and it's actually really interesting because they made a very direct reference to it in this episode. Where in the comics, the idea was that this hunger, this virus, it's not so much physical, the hunger wanting to eat people. It's not so much physically needing to eat. T'Challa basically in the comics, he saw that when somebody had chopped the Wasp's head off, and Wasp, even though she didn't have a body, was still saying, "Feed me, give me something to eat." Which is interesting because it's like, well, if you don't have a body or a stomach, why would you want to eat? So T'Challa developed the theory, the hunch, that it was implied that it was more psychological instead of physical. So, and in the show, they were like, they said encephalopathy. I can't say that word. Encephalopathy, meaning brain stuff, meaning it's in the head and whatnot. So that kind of means that it's not so much physical, more hunger wise. So, and in the comics, they're just constantly starving and wanting to eat. But and this is the thing. I think if they wanted to do it, they could make a follow up on this. Sort of like how Infinity War had it was a two-parter. Infinity War and Endgame. I'm not saying we're gonna have an Endgame style thing, but sort of a two-part story of sorts. And I think if they wanted to follow up on it and do it, they totally could. Because they could basically see how answer all the questions I just raised. Did Bucky and Hulk survive? Um, how could Vision pull the stone out of his head willingly? Uh, what happened to Proxima Midnight and all them? How did Thanos, get infected? What happened to Peter, T'Challa, and Scott? What happened to Thor, Groot, and um, Thor, Groot, and Rocket? What happened to them? Did when did that last scene take place? Did Thanos eventually win? What did he do when he snapped? Where did they go after? Because I also have another horrifying theory is that I think Thanos probably went out into the universe eating people because in the comics it's so messed up because basically what happens is all of Earth gets infected and eaten, and all of these superheroes and supervillains and characters go out into the galaxy and the universe, into the cosmic side of the Marvel universe, and go from planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy, and eat everyone. They literally eat all life in the universe, and I think in the end, they made like a bargain with the zombies. They were like, it's really messed up, but it's like, okay, we have this interdimensional portal thing that allows you to go to a different universe. If you spare all of the life in this specific universe, we'll let you go through this wormhole and you can go eat as many universes as you want. It's messed up. So they could do something like that, which they could kind of adapt that storyline from the comics, where they just go out into the wider galaxy and eat everyone. Presumably, if Thanos, got infected, if he didn't get infected on Earth, then it probably spread to the galaxy. So it's really messed up. It's just it's so they just perfectly showed how unstoppable they were. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I love this episode. I've seen the first two episodes. I haven't watched the third and fourth one. So I've seen 3 of these so far, and out of the 1, 2, and 5 that those episodes that I've seen, this is my favorite by far. This is it was so good. It was packed full of references, callbacks. It was terrifying. It was intense. It was so interesting and original. I loved it. It's incredible. And I've said it before. The end of this entire episode is the most terrifying thing the MCU has ever done. Straight up. No questions asked. Most terrifying thing. I mean, just zombie Thanos with an infinity gauntlet with all the stones. What more do you need to be terrified by? It's just some universes and, whatnot in franchises just get the crap knocked out of them. They just get such a bad luck of the draw. So I think this was interesting. And I also think that given how the multiverse happened, I think it's possible this could bleed into the main MCU universe somehow, possibly. Because if Janet got that thing from the quantum realm, it's possible we could see that in something. Because Ant-Man 3 has been said that it's going to feature Kang um, and the quantum realm. It's literally called Quantum Mania. So it's possible we could at least get a reference or see something like that. They could bleed this in because, like, this is to be fair, it's a different universe, it's a different timeline. But now with all the multiverse stuff that's going on, this could legit happen. And I think if they did it in live action, I think it would be pretty cool. I think it would be one of the more interesting ideas. So I don't know if we'll do it. I would love to see a follow up for this because I think it's such a good concept, such a good idea. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what else they have for What If. This is easily my favorite episode. I loved this. I can't describe to you how much I love this. It's so good. So, thank you, Kevin Feige and the folks at Marvel Studios. This was easily not just my favorite What If episode, some of my favorite MCU content we've ever gotten. This is so good, it's unimaginable. So, want to thank you all for watching. I hope you liked this, reaction commentary kind of thing. So, yeah, take care. Love y'all. Bye.